Hi friends, this is Dr. Paushali Pal explaining you the energy sources. In this video, I am generally going to concentrate more on non-conventional energy sources. More than conventional energy sources, as we all know, there are two types, and this video is especially beneficial for all disciplines of engineering. So let us go through. Energy sources include two types of energy sources, that is conventional and non-conventional. As we all know, conventional energy sources are exhaustible. They cause pollution such as smoke, ash, expensive for maintenance, storage and transmission, used over long time. For example, the fossil-based energy, coal, oil, petroleum, they are going to be exhausted after some time. So, the recent trend is to switch over to non-conventional energy sources, which are inexhaustible, pollution-free, less expensive, local use, easy to maintain, such as biogas plant. And there are various other methods which we are going to discuss. So, what are the topics I'm going to concentrate on in this video? On that is on non-conventional energy sources. They are hydroelectric source of energy. I'm going to explain the mechanism of turbine and how the electricity is generated. Nuclear energy, solar energy, photovoltaic cell and solar thermal technology. Biogas energy, that is mainly I'm going to concentrate on floating dome biogas plant. Next, geothermal energy, geothermal power plants and geothermal heat pumps. Then I'm going to explain the newest, most recent technologies, that is gas hydrates as energy source and hydrogen fuel cell as future energy source. So let us go through them. Firstly, hydroelectric sources of energy. This, as the name suggests, hydroelectric, it's something to do with water, as we all know. So how it happens? As you can see in this diagram picture, as the sluice gates are lifted up, the water rushes out through this penstock with a great force, and thus it rotates the turbine, generating electricity. Let us go through the literature part of it. Water intake from dam. This is the dam. Water intake from dam. Water falls through the penstock. As the sluice gates are lifted up, rotation of turbine by moving water, the water rushes in with a great force, rotating the turbine. Shaft from turbine goes up into generator to produce power. That rotation of the turbine, in fact, produces power through generator, and power lines carry electricity, identified with this, marked with this red color lines. Okay, so let us be clear with the next slide on how the electricity is produced by generator. How does generator produce this electricity? This is the biggest question. Okay, rotation of the turbine is done, but how with rotation of turbine, electricity is produced? That's the biggest question. See, that is based on Faraday's law of induction. You can see two things, the bar magnet and the conductor. As the bar magnet is moved into and out of this shell kind of thing, hollow kind of thing, the EMF or electromotive force is produced. That is, lower version of current is produced. The same thing happens in hydroelectric power source. How? I'm going to explain now. See, in hydroelectric power generator, there are two parts. One is the turbine, the other is the generator. The turbine is known for what? As the flow of water is high. So the turbine rotates and the flowing water energy is turned to mechanical energy. Now this mechanical energy is converted to electrical energy with the help of this generator. But how? That is based on Faraday's principle. Now from the previous slide we have seen that for Faraday's principle to be levied, two things are needed. That is the bar magnet. Imagine the rotor to be the magnet and the stator to be the conductor. The rotor is nothing but the electromagnet in actual. For simplicity's sake, let us take it to be the magnet. Rotor, magnet. Stator is your conductor. So as the rotor rotates, see with the arrows, as the rotor rotates, what happens? It moves towards and away from the conductor, just like in the previous slide. Just like in the previous slide, it rotates towards and away from the conductor. In the previous slide, we have seen that the bar magnet is moving horizontally towards the hollow shell on which the conductor is rotated. Same thing here. Instead of horizontal movement, a rotatory movement occurs. Rotatory movement of the bar magnet, imagine this to be a bar magnet, occurs so that the stator with the conductor, the rotor is with the magnet is pushed either towards the stator with conductor or away from the stator with conductor, and this permits electric current to be generated and flown. So let's go through the literature. Electromagnets, that is on the rotor, and rotor is attached to the shaft. When the rotor turns, field poles move past the conductor in stator. Remember, stator contains the conductor and rotor contains the electromagnets. For simplicity's sake, you can take up magnets. So rotor, magnets, and stator, conductor. Rotor rotates and the conductor is fixed. As the rotor rotates, magnets are pushed towards and away from the conductor, thereby producing electric charge or electricity. Okay, so this is the fundamental thing about generator. Now going on to nuclear power. Nuclear power stations, as we have in India also, is based on nuclear fission reaction. Due to fission reaction, high energy is liberated. That heats up the water to make steam. Steam turns turbine. Turbine turns generator, and generator produces electric power. As usual, we have already seen. Now, what is this fission reaction? Fission and fusion is just the opposite. Fission means when the parts break open. Nuclear reactor nuclear parts such as the uranium nucleus over here, when it breaks open, then it is called a fission reaction. And when segregated parts come together to form a single part, that's called a fusion reaction. Here we are concentrating on fission reaction, that is breaking apart. How it breaks apart? As the neutron, in this case, is injected into the shell of the uranium nucleus, the neutrons break open with great energy force. See, the reaction products plus energy with great energy force, the nucleus breaks open. And this energy is utilized to convert water into steam, and that steam itself produces electricity. So now let's go on for a nuclear power plant. In nuclear reactor such as this is the nuclear reactor that we are talking about, nuclear reactor. What happens? Fuel rods are present. You can see 3 lines. Those are the fuel rods placed in water to cool them, because within the nuclear reactor, that is within the fuel rods, nuclear fission reaction takes place, releasing energy as heat. Now, these 3 lines that you can see are the fuel rods where nuclear fission reaction is taking place, liberating energy in the form of heat, which heats up this water. This water is circulated over here, heats up this water to convert the water to steam. The third point, this energy heats water, creating steam. So steam, which is generated from the energy liberated, that steam moves the turbine. Here is the turbine. Steam rotates the turbine, generating electricity, and the steam is then again passed on to the condenser, where it condenses into liquid, and the cooling tower expels the extra heat as here. So this is all about the nuclear power plant. I hope this is clear. Now let's go on. Solar energy. Next we are going on to solar energy. As we all know, light and heat from sun. To harness this solar energy, we have 3 ways: photovoltaic cell, solar thermal technology, passive solar heating. Mainly, I'm going to concentrate on photovoltaic cells and solar thermal technology. Passive solar heating is nothing but getting heated in the sun itself. Okay, main technology is for number 1 and number 2. So let's concentrate on it. Photovoltaic cell. See, this photovoltaic cell is actually a group of photovoltaic cells makes up the solar panel that we see on the roofs, and a group of solar panels make up the solar array. So each unit is called the photovoltaic cell, as shown over here. This is one single unit, that is a photovoltaic cell. What happens here? The sun absorbs the rays, and the photons, that is the packs of energy, photons, as they strike the photovoltaic cell, electrons are emitted into the semiconductor. That is, this lower layer is the semiconductor. As I am going through it, this lower layer is the semiconductor. It captures the electrons from the photons, and a passage of electrons are created. That means electricity is generated. Let's go through here. See, the sunlight is made up of photons, as we know. Photons strike the PV, that is photovoltaic cell. Electrons released in the conductor, semiconductor. So as the photons are captured, the electrons are released into the semiconductor. These electrons create electric current due to their flow, harnessed by wires connected through positive and negative sides of photovoltaic cell. So each unit generates a small amount of current, which is then multiplied as a group of photovoltaic cell into solar panel. Thus, a solar panel is one in which the electricity is multiplied and a large amount of electricity is obtained. And a group of solar panels is thus the solar array, from which we get larger amount of electric current, solar energy, rather than the solar panel. Okay, so I hope this is clear. Let's go to the next slide. Solar thermal technology is yet another technology for solar thermal, for solar energy. Here what happens? The mirror concentrates the solar energy, which takes up the heat from the sun being reflected, and this heat from the sun, in fact, heats up the liquid, special liquid, which goes on through this rod that I'm pointing out. Through this rod flows a special kind of liquid which is heated by the solar energy. Okay, and this heat is then passed on to the water within the heat exchanger. Heat is passed on to the water within the heat exchanger, converting the water to steam. And then this steam turns the turbine. Electricity is thus produced. Okay, so mirrors concentrate sun's energy to heat special liquid that is present over here through this rod. Heat from liquid boils to create steam. This creates the steam, and this connected to steam then turns the turbine, and the turbine produces electricity. Then what happens? The steam cools down. Here the steam, after doing its job, the steam is passed on, wherein the steam cools down, again produces water. The water goes through this heat exchanger, takes up the heat, get converted to steam, and again the turbine rotates, electricity is produced. The cycle goes on. So this is solar thermal technology. Next, moving on to biogas plant, that is the floating dome biogas plant. Here what happens in the villages, sewage, residues from fields, etc. are collected over here, brick laid area, and then laid through the inlet pipe, laid through the inlet pipe to get accumulated over to this tank. That's called the digester tank. And this digested tank is for encouraging the anaerobes, especially the methanogens. So methanogenic bacteria thrives on it. It produces the gas, biogas, due to which initially the gas holder is at a lower condition. It gets lifted up. You can see the two lines over here. This is the lifted up condition due to the accumulation of biogas within this chamber. And as the biogas is accumulated, it is channelized through this nozzle, pipe and nozzle, and then it lights up the oven. And what about the spent items, spent material? It is let out through the outlet pipe, and it flows over to the overflow tank. So this is all about the floating dome biogas plant. This is how it goes. Next, coming on to very interesting geothermal energy. Geo means our earth. Geothermal power plants and geothermal heat pumps are the very useful technology. Let's go through it. Geothermal power plants. See, in geothermal power plants, what happens? The pump, the water goes through the pump in a heated condition on the surface and then turns into steam. The steam turns the turbine, produces electricity, and then this heated water generally gets into cooling tower. The cooling tower cools up the water and injects the water through the injection well into the ground. within the ground, the water gets heated up again, because it's especially for the cold countries wherein the atmosphere is cold but the ground is very hot. So the cooling tower, from the cooling tower, cool water is injected into the well, but the water over here is hot. So the hot water comes to the surface, steam is generated on further heating, turbine, generator, electricity, cooling tower, then cool water into the injection well. Like that, the thing rotates. Geothermal power plant, the cycle rotates. And as a result of this, electricity is produced. I hope you got it. Let's go on. Geothermal heat pumps. This is yet a very novel technology. What happens in the winters, that is when the atmosphere is too much cold, that time the ground is hot. Remember, in the winter, the ground is hot, but the atmosphere over the ground, it is icy and too much cold in winter. So what happens? Look at number 1 point. Here, from the household, from the home, from the heat pumps, the water is ejected out through the ground. I told the ground is hot, so the water is hot, exemplified with the red color. But being on the ground, as it moves gradually towards the surface, it gets chilled, cooler. And then this is exemplified with blue color, and then it goes to the heat pumps, heated again. Like that, it is circulated. In the ground, wherever it is in the ground, it is hot during cold. This heated water serves the necessary purpose for household, that is domestic purpose. Then it comes onto the surface, it gets chilled. Again, the hot water serves the household purpose and it gets heated up again to the ground. But in the summer, the opposite thing happens. In the summer, the atmosphere is hot, but the ground is very cool. So what happens here? The atmosphere, from the atmosphere, the hot water is within the ground, exemplified with red color. Because this water is coming from the atmosphere, it is hot with red color. But as it ascends upwards, that is towards the ground, from the ground towards the surface, it is with blue color, meaning the water is getting cooler. Okay, first hot within ground, gradually it gets cooler as it gets into the surface, and this cool water serves for the domestic purpose. So this is in winter condition, this is in winter condition, and this is in summer condition. Next, let's move on to a very novel technology in recent days, that is the gas hydrates. These are the gas hydrates, as you can see, frozen water-based crystalline solids that trap methane. It's formed due to high pressure, low temperature, and it actually traps the methane. It's a reservoir for fossil fuels. Where is it found? As you can see here, it's found at the sea level, sea floor, it's found. Then underneath the Arctic, it's found. Underneath the permafrost, it's found. Ocean floor, it's found. So it's a very novel kind of energy source. CH4 burns, methane burns without smoke. It's called. Let's see about the technique. First, let's get clear about its structure. It's a lattice crystalline structure, and these green balls are nothing but methane. trapped within the water molecules in the form of lattice structure, crystalline lattice structure. This is the exact structure. And then what happens when you inject further CH4 from outside, methane from outside? Release of methane happens, and this methane can be channelized as fuel to burn our domestic purpose or for big industries. Permanent storage for CO2 in formation also can take place. Next, we go on to hydrogen as future energy source. Hydrogen isolation can be from hydrocarbon by applying heat from water through electrolysis and from algae bacteria under certain conditions. We can isolate hydrogen. See here, look at the red balls. They are nothing but the hydrogen, and the green ones are the proton. O, oxygen is the blue ones, and yellow ones are the electrons. Let's demonstrate it. See, this is the anode part. This sky blue portion is the anode part, and this sky blue portion on my on my right is the cathode portion. This is the cathode, and this is the anode. So what is happening is hydrogen enters the anode and gives out an electron. You can see from red, yellow balls are ejected out. Those are the electrons. Now, these electron flow means current flow, as we all know. These electrons, as they are moved out, what happens? Green balls are formed, that is, protons are formed from neutral hydrogen atoms. The protons then club together to form neutral hydrogen atom and then a hydrogen molecule again. Along with an oxygen molecule, they form water and eject it out. So we can say that water and heat are the byproducts of this process. And while this process takes place, we have already seen the very importantly, the current starts flowing. So this can be a future energy source, though it's all under research still. Hydrogen fuel cell. I hope you understood this. See, observe the red balls. Those are for hydrogen. They get converted to green ones and yellow ones. Green ones are proton, yellow ones are electrons. Then green ones, on crossing this bridge kind of green area, they again get converted to the red ball. Two red ball and one blue ball gets clubbed to form H2O, which is ejected out. So this is about hydrogen fuel cell. Now it has many applications. It creates hardly any kind of pollution or smoke used by NASA. Liquid hydrogen propels and space shuttles and rockets into orbits, propels the rockets and shuttles into its specific path, and the electric system for the shuttle's power system or electric system is based on this hydrogen fuel cells. So, summary: non-conventional energy sources like hydroelectric source of energy can provide suitable solution to our energy issues in India. As we have seen, we have many hydroelectric power stations in India. So the fossil fuel based energy, it's much better than the fossil fuel based energy. And also research on gas hydrates and hydrogen fuel cells show that we can improve our energy sources if such research is carried out with a great enthusiasm. So, students, I would request you to just carry out more research in new avenues and come up with something novel. Thank you. Thank you for your patience. Thank you for watching this video right till the end. Meet you again in the next video. I hope you have all liked this video. Thank you so much.